Yesterday, I filmed an episode, and I've been working on the editing part today. Didn't feel like my introduction was long enough, like I cut myself off a little bit. So I'm going to take that part out, and this is going to be the introduction. I'm Cheryl. This is Bluegrass Dreams to Seams, and here mostly we talk about sewing and knitting, two of my favorite things to do. Sometimes I do other things, and we'll talk about those as I do them. But welcome today, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Filmed this too. Where has Cheryl been since Vlogmas? Well, about the second week of January, my husband said, I need a winter project. I think I'll get the kitchen. We've been talking about this for some time. 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. And so I decided, well, okay, I'm going to do what I did last year. I emptied 2 cabinets, and then I just casually looked at him and I said, you have 2 weeks, otherwise the glasses go back. And I just, went to put the glasses away someplace safe, and then when I came back into the kitchen, he had a crowbar. And we're taking off the back panel to the cabinets, and we took the upper cabinets where those glasses came from down. And he said, I guess we're committed. And I said, I guess so. The next night, my son-in-law was here with his son, and they started taking out the peninsula. That came out, and anyway, fast forward today, we're about 70% finished. All my cabinets are in, my new sink is in, my refrigerator is where it's going to be. I have a pantry, I have an island, I have makeshift countertops. Hopefully next week we can order the countertops. There will be electrical run to my island at some point, so that when I set up a mixer and things there, it's not having to be, in someone's way. It'll be out of the way. I'm trying to make this kitchen so much more functional than what it was. At least functional for me. I'm the one cooking. So at some point we'll be finished, and hopefully that's going to be the end of June. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll get a little tour next time. What have I been doing besides renovating a kitchen? Well, I've had a little bit of sewing. It's very hard to cut anything out when you have no table to cut anything out on. My sewing room is very limited. I'm lucky to have a table that I keep my serger and a spare machine on. And then this cabinet I bought here behind me houses my main machine that I sew on. Did put some thread spool holders up just recently. But other than that, I don't have a cutting table in here. It's used for company. It's kind of like the overflow room. We have an attached apartment. It's actually a mother-in-law's apartment to our house. And we're thinking we're going to turn that back into guest quarters again. So that would be really nice. It'll free up this room, and then I could get rid of this sofa that sits behind the camera. Actually have maybe a cutting surface in here. But I did think that my island is going to be 6 feet long. And islands are standard, I think, 36 or so inches wide. And I'm thinking, ooh. So what did I make? Well, starting off, not a whole lot in January because we were demolishing. But toward the end of January, I did get my blouse made from this fabric that I bought probably 2 years ago from Let's Sew in Evansville, Indiana. And this is a Burda pattern. It's not the one I had intended to use, because the one I intended to use, I cannot find where I hid it. So I made this one. And actually this turned out pretty good, probably better than the original of what I had planned, but I do have an overlay on this. This is 6459. It made up really well. It was supposed to have a back center seam. I chose not to do that. Instead, I chose to try something that I had seen Viv Mom do, Viv Mom Sews. She likes to put this binding on, a self-made fabric. Well, she likes to do binding, not usually self-made. Usually she purchases her binding because she said that's just the way she is. But she'll extend it into ties. So that's what I chose to do here. And it worked really well. So I didn't need the center seam. So that was omitted and cut on the fold. However, this overlay, which I can't even find it right here, I chose to put this underneath it because it was really the only thing at Let's Sew that I could find that worked with this print. But I do love the print. It's a rayon. I've always loved rayon because it's soft and drapey and just comfortable to wear. Other than that, I'm very pleased with this blouse. Okay, that's that one. Then, as far as other sewing, do a little dress for my granddaughter. I decided to do this one, New Look 6630, and I just kept it simple and did this one. I did not do the binding on this. I did binding here and here. This pattern allowed me to do something I wanted to do for a while. My friend Terry from my American Sewing Group, she likes to do the elastic, fold over elastic for binding. So I bound her little dress off. And this fabric I think also came from Let's Sew. The neck and the armhole. And it worked really well. I was really pleased. I watched about 3 videos on how to apply this. And one lady pointed out that it's much easier if you use the shiny side versus the dull side of the elastic. So that's what I did. So that's her little dress. And the elastic, I'm kind of collecting. I like to take pool noodles and put my interfacing, this trim, because I want to keep these together. I just took one that I had cut off and started collecting colors. So the white is a little wider, and I think this one's a little wider. But the rest of these along here, these are the same width as well as that one. So that's my little collection of colors going there. My ASG group decided to make these bucket hats. Now this is a free pattern through Mood Fabrics. And I can't think what they call their free pattern thing, but anyway, I'll put it in the notes below. It was pretty easy to make. This was what we did on one of our classes. We meet every other month. And I chose to use a chambray. I just bought it at Hobby Lobby here in town. And then there's a quilt store, fabric store kind of called Backyard Fabrics that I had gone by and bought this little kind of plant, kind of garden themed sort of fabric. I'm going to make a second one because there are things I didn't do to the first one that I think I would like to do to the second one. I'll still do the chambray, I'll still do the leaf print. I didn't have enough leaf print to do the whole thing, so this part that stands straight up and down will just be a solid light gray. And I'm going to fringe the edge. As far as plans for things to sew, I do want to make my granddaughter a bucket hat. And so her fabrics, and I also got these at Backyard Fabrics. One side will be this little pink polka dot, and the other side, this little flower. I think that'll be really cute. And I may fringe the edges on hers as well because I think that'd be kind of cute. Maybe put some ribbon on it or something like that. When I was at Textile Fab, I found this fabric for her. I'm not buying a lot of fabric, but I don't have a lot of fabric for Isla. She loves pink. And I found this little pattern here, KwikSew 3861. I think I actually bought it there because they were kind of clearancing out their patterns, and so they had a really good deal. So that's going to be for her. That should be pretty easy to make. And it'll give me a chance to use more of the fold-over elastic. 2 shirts in the plans for me. I'm going to insert picture for the first one, and then a maybe picture for the second one. I was on Marcy Tilton's site. Although I cannot find this picture anywhere where there's any notes about it. It could have been Diane Erickson. I've also looked at her site, not finding any pictures. So I'm not sure where the picture came from, who to give credit for the design, but I thought, I do love this print. Now this is a Wyndham Fabrics, and it's Marcy Durst. The reason I like it, it's like a postcard print. They call it Random Thoughts, and it does have little bits of color, like there's a deep eggplant, there's some red, there's this turquoisey color here. So at a quilt show, I managed to find some of the solids that went with this. So I'm going to start the picture. And as you can see, there are some solid colors used on the shirt. I'll probably add some black before I do the button closure. If I can find different colors of buttons that I like, or something really that kind of goes with this print, that I just say, yes, that's it. You know how you are. Yes, those are the buttons. That's what I'll use. But anyway, that's a shirt in plan. Probably will get it made closer to also at a quilt show. This is by Free Spirit, and it says it presents Root, and I think it's the name of the series of fabrics, but I do love this. It is very, very soft, but I like this raindrop with it, so that's one. I'll get a few solids to break this up. Not sure about what shirt pattern. This is a possibility though. The other choice for that one would be just doing a solid linen like it's shown in. It's a shacket that I think's been lengthened, but I have managed to track down the actual pattern, and so I'm going to be looking at it as well. Knitting. One thing I got finished in January was my socks. These are like a silk blend knitting, or yarn, I mean, knitting. Very soft. They feel so good. And they striped really well. They're very comfortable to wear. I wished I could remember the name of the yarn, but if I ever see it again, I will know it. And I definitely would buy this again. Definitely. This was my first experience doing Magic Loop, and I can't say that it was a positive one. Things I liked about it first, before I go negative, things I like about it is, yes, it's nice to have 32 stitches on the back, 32 stitches on the front. It seems like you knit faster, but with that, at least for me, is I get so sore here and here, and it's probably because I hold things too tight. I'm not a tight knitter, but I like to tend to hold, especially metal needles, a little tighter. Anyway, I got so sore, it took a while for me to finish. I decided to finish this. It's high time you sew this thing together and do the final steps to getting the sleeve edges done on your Guildenstern. That's this pattern here. I did use the yarn it's called for, which is Queensland Fingering. And there's my sweater. I needed to finish off the sleeve edges. I think it's just 2 rows of purling. I'm having trouble with my neck edge. It's wanting to come loose. It's kind of stretched. The stitches have stretched. I don't know if you can see that. The Queensland, it is hot. If I had finished this earlier, like maybe February instead of March, I probably would have gotten to wear it more. The 2 times I have worn it, I have not worn it all day. I start out wearing it and I come out of it within a couple of hours, which once it hits about 60, 55, 60 in there, I start sweating, and I can't, I just can't, no. But it fits well. I'm happy with it. Changes I might make, if I was to make another one, I'd still use the Queensland, but I think I'd make a darker, medium, light. The thing I did get kind of caught up in was a friend of mine had found this pattern using a marled summer bucket hat, and because I made the other bucket hat sewn in, I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool to knit one? So I decided to knit one. I did find the Rowan cotton glace that it calls for at Sheepskeins in Newburgh, Indiana, and this is what it looks like in the ball. Probably should have picked something other than what I did. I like it, but not everybody likes it. I've been teased a little bit, but that's okay. They do it lovingly. This is my little bucket hat, and I'll put it on so you can see how it looks. See, I like it. It's fun colors. It marled, really, that's a really, really pretty effect. I think if I was to do it again with the blue, I'd probably get maybe a grayish brown color would probably look nice, and would tone it down a little bit, you know. It wouldn't be quite as bright. This is not for everybody, but this is just a fun hat to wear when I'm kind of blue and I need to have something fun to wear to kind of, you know, make me feel better. So that is it for me. That's what's going on in my world today. I hope you're getting to sew, knit, crochet, quilt, whatever your hobby is. I'm hoping that you get to do that and enjoy it. And if you're renovating, happy renovation. See you next time.